You ever wonder what makes someone impossible to forget? It's not just the looks, it's not the perfect texts, and it's definitely not playing hard to get. It's that quiet confidence that lingers when you're not around. It's the way you make him feel seen without trying to impress him. The truth is, if you understand how the mind connects emotion to memory, you can make someone think about you even in your silence. So today, I'm going to show you 5 proven ways to make him think about you nonstop, not through games, but through genuine power. You want to know the real secret to making someone think about you nonstop? It's not about what you do for them, it's about what you make them feel within themselves. See, most people focus on getting attention. They post the perfect pictures, send the perfect texts, play the perfect game, but attention is cheap. It fades as fast as it comes. Emotion, though, emotion lasts. Because the human brain doesn't cling to moments, it clings to feelings. The laughter you sparked, the warmth you gave, the safety you created, that's what sticks. That's what plays on repeat in his mind when the world gets quiet. Think about it. The people who stay with you long after they're gone aren't always the ones who did the most. They're the ones who made you feel the most. Maybe it was someone who made you feel understood when no one else did. Or someone who made you laugh when you didn't think you could. That's not coincidence. That's emotional imprinting. Every time we make someone feel something real, joy, peace, curiosity, inspiration, we leave a mark that their brain naturally revisits. It's human psychology. The mind returns to what feels significant, not just what's seen or said. So if you want to make him think about you nonstop, stop chasing his attention and start connecting with his emotions. Don't just talk about small things. Talk about things that matter. Ask questions that make him think, not just react. Listen to understand, not to reply. When you share something about yourself, something real, not polished, you give permission for authenticity. And when he feels that, he starts associating you with something deeper than surface level attraction. You become peace in a world full of noise. You don't have to perform. You don't have to exaggerate who you are. You just have to be present, fully there, because presence is powerful. When you look someone in the eye and really listen, when you laugh freely and let your guard down just enough, it creates an emotional moment that no amount of physical attraction can replace. That's what lingers. That's what keeps him up at night thinking about you. Not because you said the right thing, but because for once, someone made him feel seen. And here's the irony. People remember those feelings more vividly than any compliment or romantic line, because emotions trigger memory. When you connect through emotion, you become part of their internal world. You're not just someone they talk to, you're someone they feel. And that's what the mind replays. That's why the next day or the next week or the next month, a smell, a song, or a random thought pulls your name into their head. Not because they're forcing it, but because you became tied to a feeling that mattered. That's how deep connection works. It's subtle. It's quiet. It's powerful. It doesn't need constant communication to exist. You could go days without talking, and yet you'd still cross his mind. Because the emotion you left behind doesn't need a reminder. It's already living in his memory, playing on a loop every time he feels that same energy again. So don't try to impress him. Don't try to outshine or outperform anyone else. Just make every moment with you mean something. Make it honest, make it kind, make it human. Because when you connect through emotion, when you create a feeling he can't find anywhere else, that's when you stop being a thought that comes and goes and start being the one he can't get out of his head. There's something magnetic about a person who's calm in their own skin. Someone who doesn't need to chase, doesn't need to prove, doesn't need to force anything. That energy, that quiet confidence, is what keeps you in someone's mind long after you've walked away. Because the truth is, people don't obsess over those who are always available. They think about the ones who can stand still in their own peace. The ones who don't panic in silence, who don't need to fill every gap with attention or reassurance. That calm detachment, it's rare. And what's rare is what becomes unforgettable. See, when you pull back your energy and you stop making everything about how much he sees you, something powerful happens. He starts to feel your absence. He starts to notice that you don't need him to validate you. And the moment someone feels that they're not being chased, they start to chase the thought of you instead, because now there's mystery, there's space, and that space creates curiosity. Curiosity builds interest. Interest turns into thought. That's how it happens. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start trusting. You trust your worth. You trust that what's meant for you won't require you to constantly prove it. You trust that silence doesn't equal rejection, and that trust radiates. It's the kind of energy that says, I know who I am. I don't need to beg to be seen. When you live from that place, you stop reacting emotionally to every shift in his behavior. You stop analyzing texts, overthinking responses, or worrying about why he's distant today. You stay calm, and that calmness becomes your strength. Because here's the truth. People can feel when you're centered, and they can feel when you're desperate. Desperation repels. Peace attracts. And when you can show that your peace doesn't depend on his attention, he starts to respect it. He starts to crave it. Because now he's dealing with something different. Someone who's not moved by temporary moods or mixed signals. Someone who's in control of their emotions. That's power, quiet, confident power. Think about it this way. The more you chase something, the faster it runs. But when you slow down, when you breathe, when you focus back on yourself, the dynamic shifts. You stop giving all your power away. And that shift doesn't just make him think about you. It makes him feel your energy in your absence. He'll start wondering what you're doing, who you're with, what has your attention. And the best part, you're not doing anything manipulative. You're simply existing in your own lane, living your life fully, and allowing the silence to work in your favor. It's not about ignoring him or playing games. It's about living from a place of balance. It's about showing that you can enjoy connection without clinging to it. That's the kind of confidence that doesn't scream for attention. It commands it. Because you're not trying to impress him, you're impressing yourself. You're showing that you have boundaries, standards, and a life that fulfills you. And that's attractive, deeply attractive. When you're detached in a healthy way, you give someone room to miss you. You allow the natural rhythm of desire to grow. When there's too much pursuit, too much control, it suffocates the connection. But when there's space, genuine, confident space, it gives the other person a chance to wonder, to reflect, to reach back. That's the quiet kind of pull that makes someone think about you nonstop, not because you demanded their attention, but because you withdrew it with grace. So stay calm. Stay centered. Don't let your emotions become a reaction to someone else's uncertainty. When you master the art of calm detachment, you don't chase, you attract. And what you attract will think about you long after you're gone, because your peace will echo louder than any words ever could. Sometimes, it's not what you say that leaves the biggest impact, it's what you don't say. The moments of silence, the pauses, the calm confidence behind your words, that's what makes people lean in. You see, when you speak less but mean more, you create space for curiosity. And curiosity is what makes someone think about you when you're not around. Because mystery doesn't live in noise, it lives in restraint. Most people rush to fill every silence, afraid it'll make things awkward or distant. But the truth is, silence isn't empty, it's powerful. It's the space where meaning lives. When you don't rush to explain yourself, when you don't talk to prove your worth, it sends a message you're secure in what you said. You're not fishing for validation. You're not begging for reassurance. You said what you meant, and you trust it to stand on its own. That kind of communication, calm, intentional, steady, hits different. It sticks. Because it's not cluttered with noise. It's clean, confident energy. Think about the last time someone said something that stuck with you. It probably wasn't a long speech. It was likely something simple, but real. Maybe it was the tone, maybe it was the timing, or maybe it was the way they said it without needing to justify it. That's what makes it memorable. When you stop trying to impress with words and start communicating with presence, people feel it. And when they feel it, they think about it. They think about you. The more you talk, the easier it is to lose the impact of your words. But when you speak from a place of intention, when you take your time and let your words land, you build anticipation. That anticipation pulls attention. And that's what keeps someone thinking about what you said long after the conversation ends. Because you didn't give them everything at once. You gave them enough to feel something, and then you let them fill in the rest. That's how connection lingers. This isn't about manipulation, it's about mastery. Mastering your tone, your timing, your energy. You don't need to overshare to be understood. You don't need to explain yourself 10 times to be heard. When your words are backed by authenticity and calm energy, they carry weight. You become memorable not because you talk a lot, but because everything you say has meaning. People start noticing that when you speak, it matters. And when you don't, it matters too. Speaking less doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means knowing when to step back and let silence do the work. Silence gives space for reflection. It gives the other person time to process, to wonder, to replay the conversation later. And in that replay, your presence lives on. That's how the human mind works. It revisits what it doesn't fully understand, what it wants more of. So when you leave something unsaid, something subtle, something real, you give him something to think about. Don't underestimate the power of mystery. When you reveal everything too quickly, there's nothing left to discover. But when you allow your energy to unfold slowly, naturally, you build intrigue. That intrigue is what keeps someone checking their phone, reading your messages, or replaying your voice in their head. Not because you tried too hard, but because you didn't. You gave just enough. When you master the art of speaking less and impacting more, your words start to carry emotion, not just sound. They linger in the air. They echo in someone's mind. They remind them of the way you made them feel calm, curious, and connected. And that's the kind of impression that lasts far beyond the moment. So don't rush to speak. Don't fill every silence. Let your presence breathe. Because sometimes the most unforgettable thing you can say is less. You want to know what really makes someone unforgettable. It's not how perfect you look, how funny you are, or how often you're available. It's when your presence challenges them, not in a harsh way, but in a way that makes them think differently. Because when you connect through values, not validation, you're no longer trying to please. You're standing firm in what you believe, and that kind of strength is magnetic. It's the difference between being someone he enjoys and someone he respects. See, most people try to connect by agreement. They nod along, they smile at everything, they say, "Me too," just to keep the peace. But that doesn't build depth, it builds convenience. And convenience doesn't last. What does last is alignment. When someone meets you and feels that you're grounded in something real, your principles, your truth, your boundaries, it leaves a mark. Because it's not common. Most people shift their identity to fit someone else's interest. But when you stay true to yours, you become the mirror that reflects authenticity. And that's what people crave most, even if they don't realize it. You don't need to argue. You don't need to prove you're right. You just need to live by what you say. Speak your truth calmly. Stand by your values quietly. Because conviction doesn't shout, it's steady. And steady energy is unforgettable. When you don't bend every time someone questions you, you show that your sense of self doesn't depend on approval. That confidence, that emotional maturity, it lingers. It makes someone think about you long after the conversation ends, because deep down, they respect what doesn't waver. Let me tell you something real. People might be drawn to the thrill of attention, but they stay for the consistency of integrity. When you have values that shape your actions, honesty, loyalty, kindness, accountability, You build something stronger than attraction. You build trust. And trust is what allows emotional connection to grow deeper and last longer. You want him to think about you nonstop. Be the kind of person whose actions match their words. Be the calm truth in a world full of noise. And yes, sometimes that means you'll stand alone in your perspective. That's okay. Don't shrink your truth just to fit into someone else's comfort zone. When you know what you stand for, you stop being replaceable. You stop blending in. You stop being just another pretty face or sweet voice. You become a standard, something that shifts the way he sees people, the way he sees connection, maybe even the way he sees himself. That's the kind of presence that doesn't fade. Connecting through values also means showing up with emotional honesty. Say what you mean. Mean what you say. Don't sugarcoat to make things easier. Because authenticity isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. When he feels that you're genuine, when he sees that you don't hide behind masks, it creates comfort. Comfort that feels safe. Safe enough to be open, to be vulnerable, to be human. And once someone feels safe with you, they can't help but think about you. Because safety is rare. Validation might give you a quick moment of attention, but values create something that lasts. When you connect through principles, when you're clear about what you believe in, what you'll tolerate, and what you won't, you're no longer seeking his approval. You're teaching him what respect looks like. You're showing him what grounded energy feels like. And that's the kind of connection that doesn't fade. When the excitement wears off, it deepens. So stop chasing validation. Start living from your values. Because when someone feels the strength of who you are, steady, genuine, and unapologetically real, they won't just remember you. They'll keep thinking about you because you'll stand out as the one who didn't need to be liked to be unforgettable. Every person you meet leaves something behind. Not always their words, not always their actions, but their energy. That invisible feeling that lingers after they've walked away. And that's what truly makes someone unforgettable. You can't fake it, you can't force it, and you can't control how others respond to it. But you can own the energy you bring into every space. Because when your presence carries peace, warmth, and confidence, it becomes something people crave, especially when the world around them feels cold, loud, and uncertain. When you walk into a room, people feel you before they hear you. It's not about being the loudest voice or having all eyes on you. It's about what your presence communicates without a single word. Are you grounded? Are you kind? Do you carry calmness or chaos? Because that's what people remember. Not the exact words you said, but how they felt in your presence. And if that feeling was safety, comfort, or inspiration, they'll keep coming back to it in their mind. Even when you're not there, they'll replay it. That's how emotional attachment works. The beauty of energy is that it's not about perfection, it's about intention. It's about the little things. The way you listen without interrupting. The way you smile with your eyes, not just your mouth. The way you stand tall without arrogance. These are quiet signals that tell the world you're secure in yourself. And that security, that subtle calm, becomes magnetic. Because peace is rare. In a world that thrives on chaos, people cling to anything that feels steady. You don't have to try so hard to impress. You just have to show up fully. When you're present, really present, people feel it. They feel your attention, your sincerity, your authenticity. And when they do, they leave that conversation lighter, calmer, more grounded. That's not something they'll forget easily. Because when most interactions feel transactional or rushed, being around someone who feels real is almost spiritual. It leaves a mark that time can't erase. Now, think about this. When you leave, what does your absence say? Does it bring relief, or does it create a void? Because the energy you leave behind defines that answer. If your energy brings peace, people will notice its absence. If it brings joy, they'll crave its return. But if it brings drama or neediness, they'll find relief when it's gone. The goal isn't to make someone need you, it's to make them feel better when you're near. so much so that they miss that feeling when you're not. That's the kind of connection that can't be faked. It's not about manipulating emotions, it's about embodying the energy you want to be remembered for. The truth is, we all become a feeling in someone's memory. You decide what that feeling will be. Will you be remembered as calm in the storm, kind in the chaos, confident without ego? Because those are the energies that echo. Those are the energies that make someone stop in the middle of their day and think of you, not because you ask them to, but because their soul recognizes what it felt when you were around. And here's the thing, when your energy is right, you don't have to fight for space in someone's mind. You already live there. You don't have to chase attention. Your presence earns it naturally. You don't have to speak louder. Your peace speaks for you. So carry yourself with intention. Leave warmth where you walk. Let your calm linger longer than your words. Because when your presence becomes peace, your absence becomes unforgettable. Here's something most people don't realize. We don't actually get addicted to other people. We get addicted to how we feel when we're around them. That's what keeps someone thinking about you when you're not there. It's not the constant messaging, not the attention, not even the attraction. It's the way you made them feel about themselves. That's the secret. When someone feels more alive, more confident, more seen when they're around you, their mind starts to chase that feeling. And because that feeling is connected to you, they start to think about you nonstop. So if you want him to think about you, stop trying to make him obsessed with your presence. Make him obsessed with his own growth when you're around. Make him feel capable. Make him feel understood. Make him feel seen in a way that reminds him who he is at his best. When you can do that, you're not just another person in his life, you become the mirror that reflects his highest self. And people always come back to the version of themselves that they love the most. You see, a lot of people think attraction is built through charm or mystery, but the truth is, it's built through impact. When you bring peace to someone's chaos, clarity to their confusion, or belief to their doubt, you become irreplaceable. Because you're not just giving them attention, you're giving them transformation. That's what makes someone remember you. Not because you demanded space in their life, but because you reminded them who they could be when they're with you. It's the same reason certain people from your past still come to mind. They might not have been perfect, but they made you feel something real. Maybe they made you laugh when you were broken. Maybe they reminded you of your worth when you'd forgotten it. That's emotional imprinting in its purest form. And when you can bring that kind of energy into someone's life, you leave a mark that doesn't fade. The mistake most people make is thinking that being unforgettable means being constantly present. But the truth is, presence alone doesn't make you memorable. Impact does. If every time he's around you, he feels like he's stepping into peace, into possibility, into purpose, he's going to crave that energy again and again. He's going to miss the version of himself that you bring out. And that's when you stop being just someone he likes. You become someone his soul looks for. Don't underestimate the power of subtle influence. You don't have to say much. You don't have to do too much. Sometimes it's the smallest gestures that shift everything. The way you listen without judgment. The way you speak life into someone's insecurities. The way you believe in their potential even when they don't. Those moments might seem small to you, but to him, they become reminders that around you he feels understood, respected, and encouraged. And those reminders are what keep him thinking about you when you're gone. Because at the end of the day, what we all want is to feel seen, not just looked at. To feel accepted, not just admired. And when you can make someone feel both safe yet inspired, calm yet motivated, they can't forget you. You become more than a person, you become an experience. And experiences don't fade easily. They replay themselves in quiet moments, in songs, in dreams, in passing thoughts, because they touch something real. So don't chase the thought of being on his mind. Create the feeling that makes his mind chase you. Be the peace that steadies him, the spark that moves him, and the reminder that he's capable of more when you're near. Because once someone feels their best self in your presence, they'll never stop thinking about where that feeling came from, and that's you.